right into your living room.
Ever since I was a little kid, I dreamt about going to the Olympics, and now I'm getting my chance. And the best part is, you get to come along with me. Join me as I get to live out my dream job.
Good morning, guys, and happy December. Can't believe it's already December. I am way behind on my Christmas shopping. But while we're dealing with Christmas lists and naughty and nice lists and everything else that comes with Christmas, Willa Desjardins and the head coaching staff for Team Canada are dealing with roster lists because we've got 2 pre-Olympic tournaments left before the men's team is selected. We've got the Channel 1 Cup, which is this month in Moscow, and then we've got the Spengler Cup in Switzerland. And this week we actually got the roster for the Channel 1 Cup. So if you take a close look, you'll see that the majority of this roster has played at least 1 tournament for Team Canada so far, with the exception of 3. P.A. Parenteau, who's got almost 500 NHL games under his belt, will be in Moscow, as will Matt Fratton, who's having himself a pretty good year in the KHL. Barry Brust is coming in looking for one of the goalie spots. So those are 3 players we haven't seen, but I should say this. The KHL is not going to stop for the Spengler Cup. So this tournament is pretty big, and we're finally starting to get a little bit of a shape of what Team Canada may look like come Pyeongchang. Okay, this is something I wanted to talk about this week as well. Cups of coffee. I know some of you can't live without your morning cup of coffee. Some of you might be drinking a cup of coffee as you're watching this. Me, I just use this as a prop because I really don't like coffee. But in sports, a cup of coffee means something just a little bit different. If you don't know what it means, the definition is a minor league player who spent a very short amount of time in a major league. Something a few players trying out for Team Canada know all too well. There's 6 players trying out for Team Canada right now that define a cup of coffee because, well, they played just 1 game in the National Hockey League. So let's have some caffeine and meet these guys. Okay, let's start with Shea Genoway. Made his 1 and only appearance in the NHL back in 2012 with the Wild. He played 8 minutes in that game, picked up an assist, and since then has played in the AHL, the KHL, and spent a lot of time with University of Dakota teammate Jonathan Toews. Okay, next up, Jesse Blacker. Suited up for the Ducks in 2014, but 6 days after his 1 and only game in the NHL, he was traded to Florida. But they never ended up using him. So now he spends his time playing in the KHL for Red Star and also doing a little boxing. Bud Holloway's debut with the Canadiens, well, it was pretty highly anticipated because, let's face it, everything in Montreal is. But he didn't stick with the team. He now plays in the Swedish Hockey League, and all you have to do is take a quick peek at his Twitter account and you'll see that he loves to fish. Jeff Kinraid, his 1 and only game came at the end of kind of a whirlwind period. 20 days that saw him play in the NCAA, the AHL, and then the NHL. And he just kept moving after that. He played in 4 different leagues. Next up is Jonathan Sinclair, and his 1 and only game is definitely one he'd love to forget. He was a -2, and he picked up 2 penalties, but it did come 1 year and 2 days after his brother Jordan appeared in his 1 and only game in the NHL, and he was in net for just 43 seconds. Notice they're both Bruins. And then finally, making your NHL debut is nerve-wracking enough, but Sean Lalonde did it while playing on both the wing and defense. No pressure, kid. Put yourselves in their position. They lived out their dream, albeit for a very short amount of time. Probably thought they would never be able to do it for Team Canada at the Olympics, and now they have that shot. One thing to keep your eye on this week, guys, the International Olympic Committee going to be making that decision as to whether Russians will be allowed to compete at the Olympics or not, which could have a huge effect on the men's hockey tournament. I guarantee you we'll be talking about that next week on Rob's Dream Job. Questions, comments, whatever you want to talk about, leave it below. See you next Monday.